Hello and welcome to episode 109 of the Goals-Based Advice podcast, where I have conversations with pioneers of the new world of financial advice. I'm your host, Fraser Jack. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'd also like to thank our supporting partner, Advice Intelligence, for powering this podcast. And you can find all the show notes and transcriptions and links as discussed at adviceintelligence.com/resources. If you're enjoying this show, then please help me spread the word by sharing this with your friends and colleagues, and I would truly appreciate an iTunes review. In this episode, I chat with Jay Fergusson, a Brisbane-based financial advisor. Jay is a deeply empathetic financial advisor who has made the decision to put her values front and center of her work environment and is so much happier for doing so. We chat about her past experiences and how it now drives her to help her clients. We discussed the LinkedIn community that she's recently started and the hashtag 52 weeks of great financial advice challenge that she has come up with. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming along. It's great to have you here. So it's one of our first video or second video podcasts. So really excited about it.
Yeah, it's great to be a part of the new goals-based advice show. So thanks for having me along.
Thank you. Now tell us about yourself. Whereabouts are you working at the moment? What are you doing?
I work for Wealth Connexion in Kangaroo Point in Brisbane. They're predominantly a pre-retiree and retiree-based advice firm.
Fantastic. And let us know about your journey. Tell us how you got into advice and how did you fall into this profession?
It was a bit of a long journey. I started during the global financial crisis, really, as a retention consultant. And I saw people fall victim to really, really bad investment advice, people cross-collateralizing, 10 different properties against their own home. And for me, being an advisor all started with that feeling of powerlessness as a retention consultant. My only avenue to be able to help these people was being able to maybe get them an interest rate reduction or maybe be able to help them restructure their mortgage. So at that time, although I didn't know it at that time, that was really the beginning for me for my advice journey. So then moving on, I did everything in the back office of mortgages at Australia's largest wholesale mortgage lender, Firstmac, and moved into loans.com.au and helped be a part of the setup of that. And then went into national management. And even though I'd been involved in team leadership and national management and leading teams and really enjoyed leading teams and helping teams to achieve their goals and things like that, what I realised was that I really enjoyed that one-on-one ability to be able to affect people's lives personally, I guess, and just be able to directly help people achieve their goals. So I reflected on that and had a look at the market and thought, okay, what is it that really does tie back to that value for me personally? And I found financial advisor. Financial advisor just kept coming up. And at the time, it was the AMP Horizons program that just kept coming up. And I thought, although I didn't know a lot about what a financial advisor did, I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe this is something I can do. So I just applied. I went and got my DFP. I got my driver's license because at the time I actually didn't know how to drive. So I got my driver's license and I became a financial advisor through the Horizons Academy, and the rest is history, I guess. And yeah, here I am coming into my 7th year as a financial advisor, and I made the right choice. And yeah, upon reflection, that's where it really all started for me.
Yeah, that's a really interesting beginning, like having those conversations with people that are struggling to pay their mortgages and having to default and going through some really tough times. And how much was that? Like that's obviously a fairly clear motivator for you with helping people just not get in that position again.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you became a financial advisor, or sort of nearly 7 years ago now, and you've been working in employed roles since then?
Yes, that's right. Yes. I have thought about becoming self-employed. I haven't made that jump just yet. I think because I've been studying and trying to upskill myself and everything like that, I thought that the risk of studying as well as starting as a new business at the same time, I just thought that was too much together. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell me about your study. How's that gone? Have you finished that now, or have you still got more to go?
No, I still have more to go. If I am able to finish all of my subjects this year, then I'll have finished my master's by the end of 2020. I'm doing the accelerated online version through master's program, through Griffith, which is very intensive, the six-week program. So it's basically what you would normally learn in, for some unis it's half a year, but otherwise it's 13 weeks at Griffith. So that all squashed into 6 weeks. So it's a lot of work and it's very intensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much time does that take for you?
So they say for some subjects it's more than 125 hours per week.
Per week?
Per week.
Wow, that's pretty much full time then. How do you find time for anything else?
That's the thing. That's why I'm like, can I really start a business at the same time as doing this? I think not.
It doesn't sound like it.
No, I need to focus on, my health. I need to focus on work. I need to focus on my study, and I need to make sure that that's all managed so that I can ensure that, my clients are still looked after properly and yeah.
So tell us about the clients you like to help. Are they more pre-retiree type clients?
At Wealth Connexion, they are predominantly pre-retirees and retirees, yes. Although previously I've worked with a range of clients right up to the high net worth and ultra high net worth clients. So I'm happy to help anyone really. But yeah, at the moment, pre-retirees and retirees.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how do you work with them around the goals, setting their goals and helping them achieve them?
Really, yeah, it's all about discovering what their goals are, what they want to achieve. And really, especially at retirement, people just want security and peace of mind. They want to know that they've got enough money and that it's going to last them. That's really all that they want. It's not, it's not rocket science really. But I think that's the thing, right? I think we as advisors, the great thing about us is that we make complex things seem simple for our clients. And I think that's the art of what a great advisor is. We can have really complex strategies for our clients, but we make them seem really simple and make them understandable for our clients. And that's the important thing, that we can educate our clients and make them seem simple and understandable for them.
Do you think fear plays a big role in that, as in from the client's point of view, where they're worried about what they do or don't have?
Sorry, what do you mean?
So do you think, like, when clients are coming up to that point of view, as you mentioned, they really just want to try and work out if they've got enough money or what they're doing? How do you think that fear sort of plays a part in, if they don't know where they've got and how much money they've got?
Sorry, do you mean fear?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said fair. I'm sorry, accent. I apologise. Yeah, so yeah, fear absolutely plays a part of that. And I think that's understandable. I think I think millennials now, even, we're starting to see in the news, but even if you listen when you're out and about and you listen to conversations around you, you can hear millennials talking to each other. Or even if you listen to millennial podcasts, you can hear them talking about how they are worried for the future. They're worried for the fact that they're not going to be able to afford a home. They're not going to have retirement savings. They're not going to have anything. So this is not just a pre-retiree concern. This is a millennial concern, because they're concerned about the fact that, Generation X and the boomers have left them nothing, and they're going to have to build everything and earn everything themselves. But the situation that we have left them has left them in a situation where they have no opportunity to grow it, that they feel like that anyway. That's what I've seen and heard.
Yeah, fair enough. Now tell me about your recent move. You've sort of recently moved to a new position or a new job. Tell me
Yes.
about how you came up with where you wanted to go. How did you make those decisions?
So I'm a very values-based person in as far as that, I guess when you've been an advisor for a while as well, or when you've been anywhere in any occupation for a while, you come to understand what you will and what don't want out of the role. So that's how I made the decision, really. And so I decided, I want somewhere that's really ethical, really compliant, that's really going to look after the clients and put the clients first, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that all ties back to my values as a person. And that's important because I feel like if your values as a person are not aligned with the practice that you're at, you're not going to stay there. Or in some instances, people will stay, but they won't be as productive and they certainly won't be happy. For me, I don't have huge debt. I don't have any, I don't have huge mortgage hanging over my head. I don't have my children, my daughter's fully grown, she's gone. I don't have anything hanging over me to keep me somewhere. So I'm not going to stay if you don't look after me. And if I'm not aligned, if my values aren't aligned to your values, and if you don't look after your clients. So that's how I determined it.
Talk us through the process, because I know that you sort of wrote a list out, didn't you, of what you wanted?
Mm-hmm. The process, I guess it just comes back to, like I said, like my values. So what's important to me, and it's the same kind of process I guess you would go through with your clients when you're writing goals-based advice. They have their goals, but goals are actions. Like you ask someone, okay, so what do you want to retire or what have you, and they say, oh, I want to have $1 million to retire or something like that. Okay, great. Why? Why do you want $1 million? I don't know, because the Joneses have $1 million, because the government says I need $1 million. I don't know. Okay, so please go and reflect on why it is that you need that much. Like what's important to you about that? So for me, what's important to me about, having an ethical practice is because I can't work somewhere that's not ethical. I won't walk. I believe in the fact that you are what you walk past. So if you allow things to happen, or if you see it something that's non-compliant or what have you, if we're talking about compliance, for instance, and you allow it to continue to go on, then for me, I feel like that means that you are non-compliant. So I couldn't stay in that type of situation, for instance.
It's a really interesting conversation, this you are what you walk past. And I really like this message, actually. We've all, as an industry, may have seen things that we have walked past. And that's quite possibly the reason that we've had a Royal Commission and we've had a lot of commentary around the way we're behaving. And it goes back to that scenario. What are you prepared to walk past and leave to represent us all?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's a really good point. I also love what you did there when you came to going through into a new position. You actually made a list of what your values were, what your goals were, and what you wanted to achieve and get out of it, and then actually went and found that right position rather than just sort of looking like traditionally, you would just find a job or something would come up. You actually went forth and said, no, these are all the things I'm looking for, and almost went and interviewed other people.
Yeah, that's right. I think at the moment too, I think the market's a little bit different right now. The Brisbane market has been quite up and down, but when I was looking, it was quite sparse, like there was nothing. So I actually had to have a recruiter go out there and find me something. But and without a book as well, you don't really have a lot of bargaining chips. But at the end of the day, at the moment especially, with the regulator breathing down everyone's neck, you need to find somewhere where you feel you are going to be able to stay, and not somewhere that you think is going to be audited and on an EU the next day, at the very least, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's no way you can just take any job at the moment, I don't think. Yeah.
Yep. Fair enough. Now, you've been getting a little bit involved in sort of LinkedIn recently.
Just a little, yes.
Talk us through that. Why did you decide to start posting a fair bit and getting more involved?
Yeah, so normally I just read LinkedIn, and I don't normally post very often. Sometimes if I do post, it's usually just like, oh, congratulations or good stuff, or I'll like or what have you. But I had been seeing a lot of really negative commentary. There's been a lot of really negative commentary in, for instance, IFA articles, or, when you read the different newsletters, or even on LinkedIn or other social media, there's negative commentary between other advisors as well. And it really feels like the advisor community has been separating and really been kind of separating each other as well from each other. So the reason why I've been posting more has been to kind of be like, hey guys, like let's be a little bit more positive. I know that there's a lot of negative commentary happening at the moment. Yes, we had a Royal Commission. Yes, there's more compliance. Yes, there's more regulatory stuff. Yes, we have FASEA. We have an exam. We have all of these things. We do. Okay. But there's also a lot of opportunity at the moment. And yes, there are some people who have been able to make great progress and can see the opportunity that's happening now. But there are also going to be people who have been in this business for a really long time and who have had an operating style that has been more scoped, and they have been used to doing things a certain way for a long time. And that's not something that you can just turn off overnight. And I think we need to be compassionate and empathetic towards those people. And we as a community need to come together and help support each other, irrespective of whether or not you have been in the industry for 20 or 30 odd years, or you're a new operator who's just starting out and you're doing all the newest, latest whiz-bang stuff. I think we all need to come together as a community and support each other. And so that's the reason why I started to post a bit more.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, isn't it? There's been a lot of change, a lot of stress on advisors and planners having to make so many changes so quickly.
That's right.
And you're right, there has been that niggling negativity that's coming through from that stress and anxiety and fear and all those sorts of things, that the emotional side of it. And people have been attacking their fellow planners in an environment where we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think there's been a real feeling of frustration that there hasn't been enough support. I do know now that the FPA have added some support materials to their website. So if you're an FPA member, you can check that out. I'm not too sure about the AFA. So if you're an AFA member, please do have a look on their website, because I'm not certain about them. I will be linking some materials to the Financial Advisors Australia page sometime in 2020. I'm just one person, so yeah. But probably by the time this podcast airs, it will be linked, I would say. But yeah, but please do, reach out to your fellow planners, and just try to, when you see a post, if someone is maybe complaining or something similar, please look at it with compassion, maybe before you respond, and try to put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, because we are all going to learn from this and going to recover from this, but going to go through this at different rates. And so we need to be mindful of that.
So you created a Facebook group, a Facebook page called Financial Advisors Australia.
Yes.
Where you want people to come and share positive messages with each other.
That's right.
And you've got a hashtag there, 52 weeks of great financial advice challenge. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
Great advice challenge. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Tell us about that. Where did that come from?
That was in response to a post that I saw of one financial advisor. One financial advisor had been saying how they were celebrating some great things that they had been doing, and another advisor who perhaps was in a bad place from not being able to keep up with things and had responded negatively. So I made the post and started the challenge, and yes, it's started to kick off. And if people would like to, if they could, it would be great if they could post with the hashtag 52 weeks of great financial advice challenge, and all they need to do is post either themselves or a colleague, basically a good news story about how they have affected a client's life in a positive way. You can do it however you'd like. It can be a blurb, it can be a video, it can be a graphic design if you want to, it can be in whatever medium you'd like. I guess not too long. It's got to fit on LinkedIn and be in a way that people would be happy to consume it. But the idea is for it to be a community thing and for it to be a positive thing to keep. We all know why we do advice, right? But with so much negative feedback coming in all of the time, I felt like that we needed to start hearing some more positive stuff. And so that's the point behind it, right? If we keep giving ourselves some positive feedback and keep reminding ourselves why it is that we're doing this throughout the next couple of years while there's so many changes, I think, it can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. And then we all, as you just mentioned, we know why we do financial advice. We know it works. And equally, we know that the financial advice that other people around us are giving is equally beneficial to all these consumers, these clients of theirs. And I really love what you said in that last response around you might not feel comfortable blowing your own trumpet to start with in this scenario. So find something that a friend or a colleague of yours has done and celebrate that. I think
that's right.
This would be a really strong call to action for people, just to think about, go and find something that somebody in your office or somebody that you work with or know has done, a story that they've told you, and go and say, look, this person's done an amazing job over here, and let's just talk about each other in a positive way and let that spread.
That's right. That's exactly it. And look, it doesn't have to be a massive thing. Like even small things, small ways that have affected people's lives positively. You would be surprised how small things can affect people. So, things like pay it forward and things like that. Like these are things that they're real things that actually affect people's lives. So yeah, if you could share, that would be brilliant, because I think that our community right now, we need this, because if you look at social media, you can see how much advisors have been calling out, asking for support and saying that they're not getting it. So yeah, guys, this is your chance to help support each other.
Yeah, rally around your colleagues, and
that's right.
Another thing that just came to my mind, then, if somebody's ever done any, or that any pro bono type advice, or
yes,
they've undercharged their services because of a situation, then let's call that out as well, and let people give people a bit of a pat on the back for doing what they're doing for their consumers and their clients.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes.
So just one more time, that's the Financial Advisor Australia.
Financial
Advisors.
Advisors Australia. That's right.
Advisors with an
Yes.
S. Financial
Yeah.
Advisors Australia LinkedIn page.
Yes, that's right. But just use the hashtag 52 weeks of great financial advice challenge.
Yeah,
It's too
52 weeks
long. We
of,
need to change it.
we need a shorter one. Come up with a suggestion.
We
52
do.
weeks of great financial advice challenge.
Maybe we can link it in the podcast, and that would be easier.
We'll definitely put it in the show notes and get it out there. And yeah. Fantastic. And so tell us about your plans for the future. Where do you think this is all going for you?
Oh, actually, I have a lot going on this year. I think I have a few projects on the sideburn, a lot of pro bono stuff, and a lot of social media type stuff as well. I think I'll be getting a lot more into the social media type side of things, but I'm very much still learning. And look, the whole Financial Advisors Australia webpage and everything, I just want to be clear. This page is not about me. The page itself, it's a community page, and it only works if the community is posting to it. It's not about me sharing content. It's about everyone else sharing the content. And the other things that I'll be doing, they're not going to have me in it as me either. They will be, they'll be cartooned, or they'll be something else. It's not going to be me. It'll probably have my voice in it, but that'll be it. So yeah, I have a lot of projects on the side this year that I'll be doing that will be more pro bono. And I will also be working with Wealth Connexion to do some more pro bono stuff with them as well. So yeah, that's my plan for this year.
Fantastically busy year. What platforms are you planning on using? As in what social media?
As far as social
platforms?
media is concerned, LinkedIn, Instagram, there'll be a couple of blogs that will be linked to. I'll have one main page, which I haven't set up just yet, but I will have one main page where people will be able to find everything that will be linked back to our webpage, and YouTube as well, and TikTok, my friends, TikTok.
Wow, that's the first time someone's told me they've been doing it on TikTok.
Yes.
Is it going to be all singing and dancing?
Not from me. No, but yeah, there will be TikTok.
Is this linked to your business?
No, it's not linked to my business, actually. Not
Fair
yet.
Enough. Fair enough. Because it'd be interesting to see if we could get TikTok into a financial advice context. That's the only thing.
Well, it is advice-based, but it's not for business. It's for educational purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea. I'd love to see how that's going to pan out.
Yeah. Oh.
And there's obviously been a lot of struggles with the change that's going through, as we've already talked about. How do you see this panning out? You mentioned a lot of opportunities coming up already, but what are your thoughts on the future for the industry?
Yeah, I think in some ways it's really exciting. I can see so much opportunity with robo-advice helping us. I can really see how it can really, really help us. I just can't wait for it to get there. I just can't wait for us to get to that next point. Like, I'm just waiting, like, X-Plan, are you going to get there, like, really soon? Surely we are not that far from that next hurdle. I saw the FPA have released their new SOA and everything like that. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what comes out in the next few years. I mean, 2020, it's not just a new year, it's a new decade. So this is a new decade of advice with new regulations and everything like that. Like, I'm really excited to see what the new decade has to come. We have new regulations and things like that. I guess my only concern about the new regulations and everything like that is that I can also see that there's the dark side of that, is that there are people who are going to try and skirt the regulations and try to then go around that and provide non-advice and be more coaches and a lot more of that type of stuff, which then
brings in that whole side of that problem as well. You've got financial advisors who are then coaches who have the financial knowledge but then are coaching people. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting situation to see how the regulators react to that. But yeah, actually really excited to see what happens with the whole technology side of things. I can't wait to get into it.
I'm equally excited to see what with the technology. I know there's a lot coming out in the next year and a couple of years. In fact, there'll be some huge changes in the way that we provide advice. And so, yeah, that's going to be exciting. And there's going to be a fair amount of change for people to adapt to. But you know, on the back of the amount of change we've gone through at the moment. So
yeah, what's changed in amongst a whole bunch of other change? Like really, once you've been through a bit of it, it's all the same, right? So
yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly consumers pick up on it too. On what's available.
Yeah, I think that is another thing as well. I mean, I think that's something that the regulator needs to be mindful of, because when you're talking about a lot of change for the consumer, we have to chunk it, right? Because the consumer can only take in so much change at a time. So like when you're talking about changing the dates for things or what have you, like with the grandfathering or things like that, you know, consumers can only take so much information at once. So yeah, I think that's where regulators just need to be mindful if they're going to be implementing certain things, is like, yeah, just be mindful of the fact that clients can only take so much information at once. And if you're impacting, like, be mindful if you're impacting a client who has X, Y, Z, that, yeah, they're going to be getting a whole heap of information and they're just overload.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of overload going, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you're at a barbecue and you're having a chat to a consumer, what advice or tips do you give them about finding the right advisor for them?
I usually just tell them, look, when you are looking for an advisor, you need to find someone who you can talk to, who you feel comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, an advice relationship is something that you would like to have long term. So you need to feel comfortable with them and feel like that they listen to you, that they're not someone who just talks over the top of you. You need to feel heard, and that they actually take your thought or your opinion into account when you're speaking to them. So I would say go and meet with a few different people and see who you feel comfortable with. And you know, if you want to, you can even say to them, you know, I'm looking to find a new advisor. I'm not certain whether or not I actually will want to stay with you, but can you tell me about what it is that you can help me with, or what have you? Yeah.
Yep, fantastic. It's definitely all about the relationship and how that works. So if you could have a do-over, go back in time and give yourself some tips or advice, where would you go and what tips would you give to yourself?
Goodness. I think it would be trust your instincts more. Yeah. I don't know if it's a woman thing or not, a female thing or not, but I tend to turn my instincts off a lot. I know all my best decisions have been made when I have listened to my gut. So I think listen to your gut more and go with it. And I know that when the decision that I made to become a financial advisor was when I listened to my instincts. So that's the advice I would give to my younger self.
Fantastic. That's a really good tip though, isn't it? Just to, and it goes with your values and what you've been talking about this whole time, Irina. You are what you walk past and all these sorts of things. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you giving up your time and coming on one of the first video shows. It's been fantastic to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And if people want to continue this conversation, how can they find you or get hold of you?
At the moment, the best place to get a hold of me would be on LinkedIn. Just search for Jay Fergusson. Fergusson has 2 S's.
And have a look at the LinkedIn page while you're there.
Yes, that's right. Yes. There'll
Fantastic.
be a link to the Financial Advisors Australia page there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing everything, Jay. Cheers.
Thanks, Fraser. Thanks for having me on.
If you haven't already, I'd love you to subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. And to continue the conversation, head over to our social media channels. We'll catch you next time.